What's up, you guys? Welcome to another Russ Toy Reviews live stream, aka Shardimus Prime here, obviously, with special guest Ryan Ting. How's it going, man?
Doing well. What's up, Russ?
Oh man, I'm doing well myself. You looking good? I like the Blink 182 shirt that you're rocking right over there.
Yeah, I had to punk it out for you today and your channel here.
Excellent, awesome, man. So today we're hanging out and we're gonna talk about several topics and everything, but just to give a disclaimer out there to everybody that Ryan is not here necessarily representing Hasbro today. So if we're not gonna get to the bottom of the figures coming out during the summer and stuff like that. We're gonna talk as a couple of fans of Marvel and other licenses that I could see there in the background. And I didn't know you're into the wrestling stuff. I see some wrestling. Is that wrestling figures back there?
Yeah, I actually just recently got into it. I've been watching it my whole life, kind of on and off, and been picking up. I participated in the ring, the crowdfund ring, which was exciting. So now I have a reason to start getting some elites. But it's fun because I've never had any. So like every figure I get is like the first of that character. So that's pretty fun. And Johnny Gargano, he's a real cool dude. Reach out on social, and he's a big collector of Marvel and stuff. So that's why I support him behind me here.
Cool. Right on. Yeah, I have like, I think a total of like 7 or 8 wrestling figures. I always like happen to have a figure around when I'm talking about figures, but yeah, this is one that I picked up recently. This is Eddie Guerrero right here.
Oh,
puppy. Yeah. So
awesome.
Eddie Guerrero, I never really got into, I liked wrestling a lot when I was a kid, but I didn't go into it hardcore or anything. I never really, got big on wrestling. So it's I have like a very small collection, but I have quite a few. One thing I want to do right now, one thing I'm thinking about, hold on a second. Let me so you got the Power Rangers and there's like one other platform I wanted to promote this on. And okay, cool. I want to make sure I do this right. Sorry, I forgot to share the link in one other spot, so I'm trying to do that right now before I forget. But yeah, you got some Rangers back there. You got all the Lightning Collection Power Rangers. You got your X-Men trading cards.
Yeah, so I tried to spice it up a little bit. That's just, I'm not a huge like Ranger fan in terms of all the subsequent shows, but I do have the original set here, which I just think is fun to look at, so I put them out.
Okay. So yeah, like you didn't go past Mighty Morphin or anything like that?
No, that was pretty much in my wheelhouse on coming home from, forget what grade it was, but it was on school every day, and so I would watch it here and there.
I don't think I got past Mighty Morphin at all myself either. So I always feel bad because like there's, especially now, like people that are like 25 years old right now, like I don't know, that just wasn't like what they're into, just really wasn't on my radar, except for maybe Naruto, which I didn't really get into. It was the moves. I didn't really dig that stuff. But like, yeah, I just missed like anything Power Rangers like after Mighty Morphin.
I feel like it's we're slightly a little too old for it, perhaps, but hey, that's cool. Like, I see all the figures around the office and from the team, and they look great, but it's just I don't know who any of the characters really are, but they look cool.
Yeah. And I've thought about picking some of them up, but I'm like, oh man, I gotta tame this collecting beast of a guy that I am. And I see that oh god, this interview's gonna go in the toilet. Do you realize you have a Transformer behind you right now?
Multiple, yes. All of one
Transformer. And you got, oh my god, he's got 2 of them. He's got 2 Rodimuses over there. Oh my god. All right, you guys, bite. No, I just
He's not one of your faves.
He killed Optimus Prime, man. He killed Optimus Prime. Not stoked about Rod. Actually, I have one of those.
The new one I really like. That's why I have 2 here, because I wanted one. I wanted to show it in both modes all the time. I like looking at it.
Yeah, no, it looks cool and everything. That actually no, it's a Voyager class one. The hot rod one is the one that I have. So, and the Rodimus looks pretty dope too. But I had to like cap it with the hot rod. I was like, look, I can't do it like past hot rod. I can't have more than one. I honestly, dude, I really had a. I refused to watch the Transformers movie as a kid because if I never watched it, Prime never died. So
Yeah.
that was how upset I was to go to school one day and everybody talking about how Optimus Prime died.
Uh-huh.
It upset me that much that I create, and then eventually I'd gotten out of Transformers for a little bit and kind of I think I caught up and watched it again later later on, of course, and everything. Kind of yeah, kind of let it go, but kind of obviously still haven't totally let it go. You know what I mean? It's the funny thing about collecting, man. You could get Daddy Shartimus over here. We got a lot of people. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling on about Rodimus Prime because I could go on forever about Rodimus. Let's see what we got going on in the chat over here because I'd like to share what you guys are saying and asking and everything. We have photo over here asking, is Ryan legally allowed to collect DC?
Yes, we are. Yes, of course, everything. I just happened to when I was growing up, I was like a Marvel Comics and Nintendo kid, whereas some other kids had Genesis and read DC. That was just how things happened to fall. So I don't really have really much of anything DC, but I could, and I pay attention to their stuff as we do. But show a lot of love to the fellow Hasbro brands, which I happen to also enjoy from Transformers, and on. But yeah, you'll see. We can talk about it. Like I'm big into Ninja Turtles too. I've talked about it a lot. So a lot of the different Ninja Turtle lines out there appeal to me, and some other stuff too.
Excellent, nice. So, what got you into the comics? Like, what led you into getting into comics? How did that happen for you?
So I think it was, this was the early '90s, and I was like a bunch of things happening at the same time. Right, we had the X-Men animated show, which was in '92, I believe. There was the trading cards, and then video games as well, mixed in with kind of the Toy Biz figures, all like everything kind of happening at the same time. And I think it's fun to reminisce. People kind of our age, when we were growing up, like there was no really internet just to go look up anything at a moment's notice. So for me, right, the trading cards were the place to actually be introduced to a lot of characters the first time. I had a handful of comics, but didn't really live near like a comic store. So if I got to go to one, it would be a big treat, So it was learning from the cards and reading the bios and the power ratings and the little trivia facts and stuff. So that just kind of got me into it, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. But even like before,
so it was the trading cards first.
Yeah, I'd say.
But
I don't even remember how I got my first trading card.
Yeah, you don't remember the very first one, or like that one kid who had him?
No. So for me, it was that first X-Men set. It's the Impel X-Men Series 1. That was the first set that I like bought packs of. And then there was a kid in our neighborhood who was a couple years older and had some video games and comics and stuff. And he had a bunch of the Marvel Universe Series 1 and 2. But, as kids did back then, he just had this, he like threw them all in this big bin. They weren't like nicely organized. And I guess he wasn't super into them. So we would go over to his house and like play video games and then look through the cars, and he would just give me a bunch because he had extras or didn't really want them anymore. And that was actually how I got my first like Marvel Universe Series 1 and 2, because those packs had kind of come and gone. So they weren't really new at the time. So I really started buying that first X-Men series. And, every time you got a character, a base card, it was the first time. And so you get Wolverine this, today, it's like the best day ever. So it's hard to recreate those moments now, as collectors, just that magic, right? That just pure kind of innocent joy that comes to it. And we're kind of going through it a little bit with my son, who's been into various things. Like I have a 6-year-old son, and he was into like Thomas the Tank Engine and then Disney Pixar cars. And because I'm, a collector myself, I would kind of indulge him and make sure we get all of his favorite characters. And he's into like Pokemon now, which I was never really into because I was just a little kind of too old when it came out. But so now he's reading encyclopedias about Pokemon and collecting cards, and I can kind of see that in him too. So that's pretty fun.
Oh, nice. That's cool to see. That's cool to see. My daughters are collecting these little things called Hatchimals. That's like the closest. I don't have any boys. I really wished to have boys, but I have no boys. And but they collect these little things called Hatchimals. It's like a little egg, and you break it open. It has a figurine inside.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Pokemon kind of thing, almost like, but they're actually really well painted and sculpted. I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. It got like weird metallic, like shiny effect in there mixed with the plastic. I'm like all like reviewing these tiny things, but yeah, that's the closest that I got to something like that. But um my oldest likes the Green Goblin, so I read her comics and get her exposed to TV shows and stuff, and that's pretty cool though. That the trading cards like led you in. That happened to me too. I remember I was in fourth grade and it was like daycare, and kids had, unlike unlike the people that you grew up with, everybody kept theirs in pristine condition in binders. To fourth grade,
Wow.
people had them in binders and stuff, and like these books and you just see like these characters, and I remember it just blowing my mind. And I guess somebody had an extra Iron Man and left it on the floor, and it was stuck it got smashed like crazy in the big metal doorway. And that was like the first one I actually really got to look at, because before I was always just looking over the shoulder of like other kids that had them already. And that was like my first one. It was a hella wrinkled ass like Iron Man, but I remember like looking at it and thinking like, oh, this is so cool. I think I already knew who Iron Man. I knew who a lot of these Marvel characters were before, from apparel, and you just see them around and stuff, right? But like I didn't know any of the specifics of them or anything. Didn't know they had names. Like Iron Man had like a real name. Like that didn't occur to me, So getting all that in there, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I'm sure like for you too, probably led into engaging in the comics more and everything, and cartoons and all that stuff. They had so much in the games.
That was the heyday. Did you ever go through like Wizard magazines and look at like the price guides for the cards and comics?
Business kid, hell yeah. I was like, oh, maybe, yeah. I was like, oh, this is going up in price. Yeah, I used to get Wizards all the time, and yeah, I love it.
They would have three colors, right? It was like green, blue, and red. Blue was like new, green it went up. So now this card is worth like $5 instead of $3, and it was
right.
Like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, we were all gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Right. We were all gonna be. I mean, that was the thing that happened. That's what's so funny about it, is that it was like a marketing bubble kind of thing that we were a part of, because everyone got so hyped. My mom had a younger brother that was like grew up in the Silver Age, where like he had a lot of comics that went up in price a lot. So my mom kind of encouraged like the investment perspective of it. Oh, make sure you take care of those. Those are going to be valuable one day, because she had already seen it happen. My uncle was like 12 years younger than my mom. So like, yeah, she witnessed it. He had the first appearance of the Hulk, which he didn't realize. When I was going through his collection, I was like, oh, this is the first one of Hulk. Cut out the coupon in the middle of it and stuff. It's like, still worth something, right? Still worth something. But yeah, man, that's those trading cards were really something special, and I still actually I still have a whole ton of them. So let's get into some of the things that we're seeing here in the chat. I think I saw a good one from Just Plain Steve. He says, do you ever collaborate with peers from other lines under that Hasbro umbrella, Lightning Collection, G.I. Joe, etc., to share ideas and such? Ooh, I don't know if you could get into that.
Yeah, so I should have said this at the top, but I'll just say it now. Like, pleasure to hang out here with you and answer some questions and just chat toys. But I did want to go on the record here, right? That anything, any opinions or stuff that I may share are my own and not necessarily Hasbro's. Although I do try to represent kind of everyone in everything we do. So just kind of, if we get into opinion-based stuff, that's just my own feelings. But to quickly answer this question, yeah, like we actually, back when we would be in the office together and not working remotely for the past almost like 2 years, it feels like. But no, we all sit kind of in the same area, marketing at least, and designers all sit by function too. And yeah, you overhear conversations, you ask each other questions. There's a lot of boring stuff that goes into what we do, systems-based things that you just need to get done. So we collaborate on kind of worky type stuff, but also fun brainstorm product ideas. And we're doing more of these, pulse streams and fan fests and pulse cons where kind of all the brands do something. So yeah, we're totally sharing, ideas, and we see things some of our peers are doing, and we're like, dang, this team did something cool. Like, let's figure out how they did that, and if we can do something like that. So it's a good support system, but there's also some friendly competition too, right? Because you want to represent your team from marketing, design, engineering, and everyone the best. So it's cool.
Awesome. Wow. So have you ever had the experience where like, hey, how did you guys do the thing where sorry, Ryan, you got to figure that one out on your own.
No,
like,
no.
Did it ever happen where they get denied? Like, nah.
No, everyone's really good. Aside from like, IP sensitive stuff, like, if Star Wars knows what's happening in their next show, they can't tell anyone, so we don't ask. Everyone kind of knows the rules of the road there. But in terms of product type stuff and kind of how we market and different ideas, it's pretty much an open book, right? I mean, HasLabs have turned into a big thing, and so all the different brands have had good successes so far, and so we share on that end. We share on the live streams, on social media type stuff, and it's a very collaborative place, and that's kind of what's cool about what we do.
Nice. And now I'm curious, out of all the other licenses or brands that are not Marvel, like, which one excites you the most?
In Hasbro?
Yeah, within Hasbro. Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of cheat and say Magic the Gathering, because I am a big Magic the Gathering fan and collector and player. I play, exclusively online these days, but I've been doing that since 1994, and was really into it in certain years, kind of during high school and a few years during college. But
you hella played Magic during lunch. Before
the cards got banned. Yeah, definitely.
You guys were actually still too cool for me, though. I was a bigger dork than that.
Bigger than that? All right.
I was worse. I didn't. I was worse.
So I'd say Magic. Obviously they're Wizards of the Coast out in Washington. But in terms of figures, probably say Transformers. Now, okay. I am most fond of the G1 type inspired stuff. Anytime they do a G1 character, or they do the packaging kind of like they do for some of those Walmart exclusives, like the G1 recreated packaging, like I'm a huge sucker for that stuff. So I wouldn't consider myself an expert necessarily on the toys or the storylines, but I do have my fair share of Autobots and Decepticons. I'm looking over. I have a whole corner of Transformers in the room here.
Ooh, nice. Now you asked me, like, within Hasbro. So outside of Hasbro, what kind of licenses or brands excite you the most?
So for figures, yeah, I'm big into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. NECA, their movie stuff is amazing. I have pretty much all of the movie stuff in the 6-inch scale. And then a little bit of NECA's animated, but I'm actually a completist for the Super 7 TMNT Ultimates line, which are inspired by the original Playmates toys. And I'm still a sucker for when Playmates puts out the original figures again and again and again, like they did just this past year. I'm still hunting them down, and because they did like the Party Wagon and the Blimp, so I got those. So big into Turtles as well. We talked a little bit about wrestling figures at the top. I'm getting a little bit more into that. Plug for Action Force here over my shoulder too. I have to.
Nice. I don't know if I can see them. Where?
They're right here.
Oh, there they are. I see it. They're still in box
here.
Shout out Bobby Valla.
Awesome. So yeah, showing him some support there.
Awesome. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Those figures came out really good. Very impressive. Very, very, very impressive stuff. Really liked them a lot. Awesome, man. That's cool. So is there anything that, can you say, like, is there anything that you see other companies doing, or other brands or companies doing, that you're like, oh, I really wish I could do that? Like I really wish we could get into that, but just due to the confines of working for a big company like Hasbro, like don't allow that to happen. Do you ever have any situations like that?
I mean, like whether it's Funko or Super 7 Reaction, like some companies are able to get a bunch of licenses and work on them at the same time, whereas that's kind of not really what Hasbro excels at. Hasbro has a bunch of brands that they own and can do great, amazing things with, and they've got a couple of big like master toy licenses, and we focus on that because that's kind of the you have only so much kind of manpower to do stuff. But
Right.
yeah, you see Super 7 with a fun movie license, or some like sports figures like in their lines, or yeah. So I would just say like being able to just go after little things here and there. That's not exactly what we're set up to do. So just that's what I'd say like overall approach wise. But hey, like I love Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
If that were to ever come, I'm probably not in the cards, but yeah.
Awesome. Let's get some questions in the chat over here. Don't want to ignore the chat because I see some you guys what's up, Joey B? Oh my god, this is like, I don't know if you know who Joey B is, but he's like one of the most hardcore Marvel Legends collectors out there. Now Joey says, you guys ever brag about how the Marvel Legends HasLabs just blow the other brand HasLab projects out of the water?
No, I mean we try to stay humble with it. The Sentinel at the time, was the best performing HasLab, but then we actually lost that title to a Razor Crest immediately after. But then Galactus came back with the Fury, thanks to all the fans. We weren't sure. I don't think we necessarily thought Galactus would surpass the Sentinel somehow, because the Sentinel is an army builder at its core, and Galactus less so. But somehow, the fans came out, and we're super thankful for that. But yeah, maybe some sort of joking humble brags in the office, but no, we want to support everyone. And another brand might come along and take the title back, and we'll just have to take it a third time if that happens.
And you bring a good point about how the Razor Crest kind of, it's like if you have that moment and you start you're start tampering with the karma and everything, and wouldn't you be kind of a little bit like, oh shoot, be careful who you're bragging to, because like with the Sentinel, and then you go over to the Star Wars department and be like, yeah, look at that, and then a couple months later, was it like a month later or 2 months later, right? Then the Razor Crest, so then you feel all dumb bragging about it, and Star Wars is gonna knock your teeth out just a couple months later, right? Also, did you back the hat? Like, I don't know if that's too deep, but like, yeah, is it like, do you guys back the other projects, or was that Razor Crest one that you had your eye on?
So yeah, so we can back the other the HasLabs just like any other consumers do. I think I have all of them to date, with the exception of Razor Crest. I will be honest and admit that I did not back that. I have a sail barge in the basement in its master carton that will never see the light of day, because I'm an impact collector, which is another kind of quirk that I have or exhibit. But yeah, like I've got Unicron, backed the Sky Striker, backed Victory Saber. So yeah, like we support each other.
The Unicron's mint on cards still?
Also, never seen the light of day. It's just in the shipper. Yeah,
mine's hanging up there like Karate Kid.
Nice.
Which I never realized until someone pointed it out. I was like, he's just supposed to be all super powerful and everything, but not. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, but now I can't unsee it, and I'm gonna have to change that pose.
Is your setup here? Is that your main? Do you have multiple stations? Like, where do you do your other videos and interviews?
Hey, what's up, you guys? Like the video reviews themselves, or
like in our PR, or like just that's not your normal background, right?
I'm in the garage. Yeah, so this is like I'm in my my desk is sloppy. I'm not going to show it off, but like this is where I edit. So I sit like this, and I edit.
For hours on end for your
Like
content.
way more, especially if I'm having a bad day and I can't speak correctly, or I make a bunch of mistakes, or I have to, sit. That's like, So this is where I sit. I have my monitor. I have my butt calendar over here, and some other figures and posters and stuff like that all around. Oh, a bunch of statues back there, but I'm in the garage. There's kids' clothes and rafters, and there's a whole other collection of figures over there that that are on display. That I haven't really done a collection video on the stuff in the garage. And then there's boxes of stuff that I need to review that I haven't reviewed yet. So it's There's like the dork room is kind of more of the set, and this is where the magic really happens. So right behind you, so there's all right, well, get ready for butts. All right, there's some butts, and then this is like where all the recording stuff happens, right over here. Looks like a huge mess.
That's the behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's the behind the scenes right there. So it's pretty bad, but it takes a while to make a video, and the thought process, going, behind what I'm going to do. That's like personal. That's one of my big first world struggles is, what am I going to review next? What can I review within this time frame? Because it takes a long time to put them together. So it's like I did a Toxic Crusader figure review, knowing it would tank, like knowing that I wasn't gonna do well, but I'm so passionate about the figure. I love the thing so much. Have you seen this thing? I am disappointed in the whole collecting community right now.
Not in person. Tony Colella raves about it.
He really?
Yeah.
Yes! Awesome! All right, Tony! Yes, Tony! My man Tony! Of course he would. Prototype painter for Hasbro. No wonder. Okay, awesome. There's a connection there because, this thing, it has a glow-in-the-dark feature, and if you shine sunlight on it, it changes red. But it's like just part. It's not like it fully just changes red. It's like a really cool paint detail changes red. You haven't seen this? You're looking at me like you haven't seen this. Let me go grab it real quick. Right? Like, you don't know what I'm talking about. You never even heard of such a thing. Neither have I, and I am losing my mind over it. It is so freaking cool. Glow-in-the-dark action figure. Big deal. You've seen glow-in-the-dark action figures before, right? It's got the translucent green. This is a UV light, so it's not as powerful as the sun. But, when you put this on here, the dude changes color.
That's pretty cool.
Look at that.
And then does it hold it? Yeah, wow.
Holds it for a little while, just long enough where you could take some pictures.
Yeah.
But this freaking blows my mind. I've never seen anything like that before. Someone left a comment saying that there are Hot Wheels that did this kind of thing in the past. But I've never seen anything like this where it has the glow in the... And then when you're in the dark and it glows with this, holy shit, like 10 people left. All right, I'll put it away. Jesus. God, they're so finicky.
Come back.
Yeah, no, like you talk about something that's not mainstream and the go side. All right, anyway. It's not that big of a deal.
That was a fun behind the scenes look at your little station there. It's like watching the Food Network or something where they show you how everything gets made.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I pride myself in having what I think is the largest review station in the review world, because I don't think the Sentinel actually still didn't stand as tall as my sheet, so it was still underneath it. The Galactus is going to go over it though, for sure.
You gotta change your setup.
Yeah, it's probably going to reach my Arnold Schwarzenegger autograph. Got an autograph from Arnold Schwarzenegger because when I got my bachelor's, he was governor. So,
and it's just hanging very high up on your display there.
Yeah. I have my college degree like all the way up there.
Nice.
Because I honestly don't think I would have been able to be a YouTuber without the college background. It helps. It helps a lot. Helps distinct you. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it, but it. I really think it helped. There's a lot of things I learned from going to school. The internships. I don't know. I mean, do you find that like that? I felt like I learned as much in like I think like my 8-9 months as an intern as I did like my last 2 years of college. Like I felt like I learned just so much from just like actually diving in, doing real stuff than the actual college itself. I don't know. That was just
Yeah,
me.
even just like seeing stuff, like as an intern, you're not necessarily doing a lot necessarily, but just to see something, if it's something you in an industry or a field you wanna be in or you aspire to, it's just cool to see it because there's no proxy for that. So like I
Right.
really wanted to get into toy marketing and had some good opportunities in some places, and yeah, you're just there for a short time and you do little side projects, and if you're lucky you might get to present it to someone, which is a good experience in presenting. But just kind of seeing how actual real life meetings run, it's a good for the knowledge bank for the future.
Right. Yeah. I went to school for something way cooler than that. It was land use planning, local government stuff. I mean, like for some reason, like I wanted to do it, but um, the physical confines of it drove me nuts. It was like, yeah, the government stuff. You could hit a lot of dead ends where you can't move things forward the way you want to, as you would imagine working for the government, right? We're a really big company. I'm sure you could relate in some kind of way to that, right? So lucky to be doing this. Action figure expert says, question for Mr. Ryan. Are all regular Marvel Legends waves with a Build-A-Figures produced in the same quantity? Ooh, that's pretty specific.
Not sure I understand the question, but yeah, we can't really get into
Yeah,
specifics like that. But
yeah.
well, basic, I think just overall, you produce what gets ordered. So that's
Mm.
kind of the truthful baseline answer.
Well, can we talk about the business side of things, but from like the general knowledge perspective, right? Like not trying to get into details, but like one thing that I always, one thing that I've witnessed from my experiences of going to Toy Fair is that it looks like I mean, you have douchebags like me with the camera, and then you have the suits. Like that's basically like it's three types of people, right? You have your press, you have your manufacturers, and then you have your buyers, right? Like that's the way I see it. So it's either guys like me or suits. I call them suits. We all know what we're talking about, and it's like for, from the way it looks like to me is that like you get your orders from your Target and your Walmart and your Amazon and your big box companies, and then your smaller retailers, right? So it's like you have like this order list, and then you just make to what goes out to all of the companies. Is that pretty much how the industry works in general?
Yeah, I mean, the retailers are Hasbro's customers,
Right.
unless you're
So
doing direct to consumer a little bit, right? So, and then your end consumer is the fans or the kids or whoever is playing or collecting. So, yeah, I mean, we're selling to our customers first and foremost. But just with regards to Toy Fair, because Hasbro used to or usually did their own showroom, which Russ, like was not in Javits. So I actually only have gone to Javits twice and found that with a Hasbro badge, you can't do anything because
oh
no one wants to show you stuff, which is understandable completely. So I don't
wow.
really have much of a general Toy Fair experience aside from our little showroom. And then yes, it is kind of like we used to have like a fan media day, which was the fan media, and then I guess other credentialed PR folks from more different mainstream media or what have you could kind of come in, and yeah, it's very business focused. You say suits, it's literally everyone in suits. My first year, I was going to Toy Fair. I begged the bosses to go, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't really have the budget to send you." And I'm like, "No, look, like my sister happens to be living in New York. I can like crash on her couch, so I don't need a hotel room, and I just want to go and get some experience." And they were like, "Yeah, okay, fine." And so I went, and yeah, they had like the fan media day and these big analyst presentation days, like Wall Street analysts and stuff. And I was just familiar with what I knew of the Hasbro culture, which is like business casual attire, right?
Oh yeah,
Every now and again you
your
throw on a
blazer and
blazer.
a collar shirt and
Well,
jeans.
no, like the normal day to day, it's not even that. Like you'll just wear, whatever, and then on the occasion
Well,
that you
no,
have a big,
that's when you guys get really dressed up. That's
yeah,
what I'm
really
talking about.
dressed
Like
up.
when they're at Toy Fair, Dwight puts on a blazer, and he means business. It's
So my first year going to Toy Fair, I just went with my normal work attire, and then I showed up, and everyone is in like head to toe suits, like for real, and I was woefully underdressed. So I learned very quickly that Toy Fair is like the most formal kind of place, and so every year after that, yeah, I was bringing the suits, literally. So it's funny you mentioned that, but yeah, that's kind of how it runs, and it was sad that the event kind of got canceled this year. That's 2 years in a row we didn't have it.
very
So I
sad.
think we're all eager to get back out there as soon as we can.
Yeah, I was really bummed out about that. I was really hoping it would go down, but like watching those numbers shoot up and everything, and oh man, sooner than later we'll get it'll if we could remember what life was like before the COVID. That's the thing that I'm starting to get scared of, is that there's all these changes happening, and it's kind of like if in some ways we'll never go back, but in some ways we will. But I get scared that, see, one thing that always frustrated me being at Toy Fair was getting text messages like with the stuff that was about to be presented to me, like like when leaks would come out, and I would see the leak, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, the showroom's right over there, and I can't go in yet. They haven't given my color or whatever, or the number, my team number or whatever, because they split us into groups. Oh my gosh, shoot, I'm still waiting for number 2 to be called, and the thing's right over there. Like, damn.
I know, so close but so far. Do you miss having to wait outside in the freezing temperatures in New York City to get in the morning?
I don't miss. I actually I was never really that bothered by it. I love New York so much, and from being growing up in California, like there, and especially in the 80s and 90s, there were so many movies that took place in New York. Like it was just the coolest place ever, and as a musician, the coolest place ever. Like my drum teacher, he was a mentor to me, and he told me, look, if you can make it, if you can go far here, then go to LA, and if you go far in LA, then go to New York, and if you go far in New York, you can play anywhere in the world. And like that was like, well, anywhere in the world, oh, New York. So it's like New York has always been a big fascination for me, and I'm still just I just get enamored every time I step out of the subway, or every time I go there. I'm just enamored with the whole experience, even in the snow and stuff. There are some freezing years though. I think 2014 or 2015 was really bad. And I remember I just gotten off of the plane. I think my first time there, I just gotten off the plane. I didn't schedule things right, and I had all my luggage with me, and I had to figure out a spot to leave my luggage and get into the showroom and stuff. Barely made it all in time and everything. And one of the first people I talked to was Jesse Falcon, and he told me my breath smelled like ass and gave me some well, he didn't say that, but like that I had nasty breath. I was like, well, shit, dude. I just took a flight from San Francisco, got off at JFK, took the freaking bus all the way over here, got out at Penn Station, and I walked so many blocks and everything. Oh man, that was that was pretty brutal, but it was worth it. It was pretty amazing having that very first Toy Fair experience. But yeah, so I guess Ryan says, so a lot of people are asking questions about specific figures, and there's not part of the disclaimer at the beginning was that we're not going to get deep into specifics with the figure lines and stuff. Like it's it's not here to we're not going to get any reveals or anything, because I don't know, Tiger's asking eternity for HasLab. I'm sure there's a lot of discussion. One thing I would like to ask though, while it's fairly specific, around in general, can you say in general how far ahead a figure is done before we ever hear about it? Is there like that window of time? Like for instance, I've said in several videos that there's a Tobey Maguire sitting behind Dwight, in that living room of his that, that's just underneath, his Galactus or something that we're not looking at. I believe these things get made, like a fairly good chunk of time before it's actually announced or presented to us. Like, is that too specific? I don't know. But if you can't answer, let me know. But I'm curious if there's like a general time frame there.
So what do you mean by done? Like, this is
like Dwight's
finished?
Holding it. Like Dwight's got a copy. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes you guys announce it, and Dwight, and as a matter of fact, I got it right here, and now I'm like, oh, there it is. Like what? You know what I mean? I'm curious to know, finished to the point where you guys could show it off or hold it.
So like a basically final pre-production sample in packaging, because like the team, Dwight and our engineer and team, they get, like unpainted VSPs, and then they'll get EPs, which have deco, and then but no packaging, and then we'll get FEPs, which is like the final. It's supposed to be the very last check-in, at which point they can make small deco changes, but that's way past the ability to change tooling or anything, right?
Is that FEP, final expected product, or
it's like I think it's final engineering pilot or something like that.
Oh, okay. Final engineering pilot. Okay.
But yeah, so it's basically the very last check-in, and it's kind of funny when we do or any toy company does a marketing reveal. Especially if it's in hand. I mean, if you're talking about here's a 3D render and this figure is coming out in 11 months, then the schedule might be a little earlier. But if it's like clearly a picture of a physical toy, and then people are saying, oh, like this sculpt, I wish the hair is different, maybe they'll fix that. It's like, no, it's not going to be fixed. It's been done for 8 months or 10 months. Like, okay. So which no one would really know that. But yeah, like we're constantly working like very far in advance. So technically, right, like once the sculpt is approved by licensor, you could argue that the sculpt is not going to change, like, right? Unless something in production, they see something that doesn't look right, or they have to make a change, rarely for whatever reason, and then we will. But in terms of you can hold something up and confidently show it, like on one of our live streams, like we did with, I have like a bone breaker Build-A-Figure behind me, like we show so that's maybe 6 months ish out before it hits shelves, and then our reveals will vary. We generally
I'm sorry, just to backtrack though, but for the 3D renders and stuff, that's more like 12 months out.
Yeah, well, the renders need to be done before you cut tools, right? So that's like 10 months in advance or something. And then you're kind of beyond it. Deco comes later. Something that people might not know is that the packaging timeline is actually very accelerated as well, and is oftentimes looking for guidance on deco before deco is even approved from licensor. Like, you wouldn't necessarily think it like paper, like how long does it take to print something, but with all the kind of approvals and the QA it needs to go through to make sure all the legals in 27 languages is in the right place, and then you go to printing, the packaging needs to get done really early too. So it's quite intensive.
Yeah, the packaging is, well, I mean, it's not like another figure, but it's like, it's almost, well, from my perspective, my tiny little bit of experience of not even almost making toys, I know that packaging is really involved. Like, it almost feels like it's its own project on its own. Like, it needs a lot of attention. You need the artwork for it and everything, and there's a lot that goes into the packaging. So that's probably like another 6-8 months ahead, like before.
No, the packaging is even longer.
Oh, it's even longer. Yeah. Oh, like, okay, so closer to around the same time frame of the figure, maybe then, huh?
again, it depends on when, but yeah, like your deco is being approved kind of around the time you're locking the packaging art files.
Okay. And then like I don't know if this is too specific either, but I'm curious if like the cost. Well, I'm thinking back on. I had a live stream with Talker Art, and we were talking about the Fantastic Four packaging and stuff. So I'm under. I mean, like when I could just look at it, I could see that there's a variance in cost between the different packaging, right? Like the packaging for this guy and the packaging for this guy are probably different. Would you would you assume so? Or?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people who aren't in manufacturing, it's easy to gloss over that literally everything costs money. So packaging included. Like we bought, what was it, like a blender or something, or like a small hand vacuum, and I was opening it up, and everything was very nicely like individually compartmentalized cardboard boxes, and I'm thinking like, yeah, they're doing this because it's a premium kind of vacuum or whatever, but this is just so much extra materials, and it's like, this is why I'm paying however, $200 for a vacuum when maybe you could sell it for 150 and not have as premium an experience. And it's like, Apple is the same way. You buy an iPhone, it comes in the most gorgeous box that you're ever going to need, right? But that's just part of it. So yeah, everything costs money, guys. Even if you throw it away, even if you recycle it, if you decide to keep it, that's great, but it all goes into the cost. And we get these comments of like, oh, back in the day, Toy Biz used to include a comic book, like you guys should include a comic book. And there was this one guy one time where, are you aware of like the True Believers Marvel comics line? They basically reprint these iconic issues, like so-and-so's first appearance or X-Men number one.
Kind of like
right?
with classics back in the day for us, like that, like the classics lines. Like they had X-Men classics where they would redo them, kind of.
No, so these are actually straight up exact reprints of that first issue, but they're like a marketing tool. If you go to a comic store, new issues cost what, $4, $5 plus, but these True Believers are like $2 maybe. Like they're very cheap because they just want to spread the Marvel love. And some guy would be like, Marvel can sell comics or for $1 or give them away during free comic book day, so you guys should, why can't you guys include that in your figures? And I'm like, the cost of paper doesn't change. If Marvel chooses to give away a comic on free comic book day, they're doing that. They're taking a cost, but they're doing that for marketing, for other reasons. So
they have some other way to balance that out.
I was just so incredulous by how someone wouldn't get that. But I guess you do have to kind of, think about it. So to go back to your question about packaging, and yeah, like if you have a huge blister card and that big Fantastic Four kind of circular blister, yeah, like it's all material, it's labor. A lot of times if there's intricate way things are packed out with like convention exclusives, a lot of times you see from various companies that the packaging is much more elaborate. There might be a diorama scene. We had the Netflix Defender set, the subway car, if you remember from a couple years back, like that's involved. Like the more, every single tie down, that's how you get to the cost, where it's not just materials or deco, but it's labor and time and how long does it take to put something in. Like it all factors in.
So that they all get included into the cost of every figure. Yeah. So that's just one thing I was explaining or trying to get that message across too, because it just made sense to me. However, like and I remember he was feeling like there was too many retro card figures coming out, and he wanted less of that. Which, one thing I really like about the Marvel Legends line is that within the line, one of my favorite things that you guys have done lately is the way you've managed the Age of Apocalypse wave, so that until I read Age of Apocalypse recently, I really hated it. Like I really, really, really didn't like it. Like, oh, way to shit all over the X-Men. That was my thinking. And actually reading it and giving it an honest chance. Well, because before I'd only read a couple of issues and I wasn't able to, read them in order and stuff, and it was just frustrating. But reading the compendium, or not the omnibus, getting all the way through it, now I love it. So it's cool because I know my former self would be happy to just bypass the whole thing and just not for me, and just leave it alone. But then, others that are obviously into it, they could just easily pick them up. And I like that you guys are able to do that. However, it doesn't seem like you do it as much between movie and comic figures. Those seem to blend in together, and that frustrates a lot of people, I think, because there's people like Joey B, who he wanted to say thank you, by the way. But people that don't collect comics end up having to jump in and get movie figures and then resell them and manage it like that. But yeah, I was kind of curious to see if things were going to get more compartmentalized like that in the future. That would be pretty cool.
I mean, it's a lot of feedback, which we do take to heart, but everything kind of comes down to balance. Like, yes, we know there are collectors who only do comic stuff. That's great. We know there's people who do both. We know there's people who do only movie. So we have to try our best to make sure everyone's getting, something throughout the course of a year. And I think it's, if you were to count it up, it's a pretty decent balance. It may not be exactly 50-50, but we try to make sure that neither group, if it's a Venn diagram, right, we want to make it as balanced as possible. And in terms of when we mix movie and comics in waves, a lot of times that's because we don't have the ability to do a full wave of movie figures, and so we kind of put some relevant comic figures in there. And maybe there's not a Build-A-Figure that makes sense for that film, so it's a comic Build-A-Figure. So it's just the opportunity to do different things. And that was kind of the old kind of way, going back to the early, I would say, the modern era of Legends. What I call it is when we went to the line look we're in now, which is 2014. That was the first year that we did movie Legends. So it was Amazing Spider-Man 2, Captain America, Winter Soldier, the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. If that's the modern era,
that's the real return of Marvel Legends.
Yeah, I think we're still in that era. So when you go back then, there were a lot fewer items, right, and it was easier to manage. But now we're kind of all over the place, and hopefully that's a positive for people. If they want to kind of pick and choose, they're welcome to do that. But we try to offer a wide range so that everyone kind of gets something. And if you're a movie guy, if you're a comic guy only, power to you, right? We'll continue to keep you in mind.
Right. So you're keeping, and we're actually, it says nobody wanted Eternals. So there's a lot of people that didn't like the Eternals. I wasn't a big fan of the movie. I love diversity. I have to leave that disclaimer there, because sometimes people translate, oh my gosh, it had, it had diverse, that doesn't bother. I'm from San Francisco, bro. Come on. I don't care. It's all good. I just didn't like how the main characters were written. You know what I mean? I said before, I thought, I just thought we didn't get a strong lead. But anyway, my point is I'm really happy that the Eternals did not get mixed in with a comic set of figures as well, that you're able to use that Gilgamesh Build-A-Figure, because a lot of people didn't really want those so much. So that was a good opportunity to kind of, keep them, apart from each other right there. So I'm sure a lot of people are grateful for that, even though, people that didn't like it. The figures themselves came out really good. I just didn't like the movie because of that. Did you like the movie? Are you allowed to say you didn't like a Marvel movie? You get fired for that?
Well, it's on Disney Plus, I think today or tomorrow or something. So you guys anyone on the fence about it should go check it out. It kind of came out, earlier last year when movie theaters were not, I think, as open. But it was different. I think it was definitely different. I think there were some good things about it. They had to balance a lot in terms of just the plot, in my opinion. Right. And I wasn't familiar with the comics kind of history too much.
Oh, you didn't miss out.
About the Eternals. I know it was a very kind of specific thing, and then it got relaunched a couple years back. But we did our best, and it was a challenging time. When movie entertainment dates get shifted around and it's too late, the product is already made, and then someone gets it out there, right, and it kind of comes out before you want it out there in mass. That's not the way that anyone would choose to launch anything. So I think that was a bit unfortunate, but beyond our control. But I stand by the product. I think it looks great compared to what you see on the screen there. And maybe they'll be back. I don't know. We know very little with what comes. We know, Ryan.
We know. We know. We
Keep
know.
speculating, guys, on all the No Way Home stuff. Like that was kept so under wraps. Like, yeah.
Like you guys had to have known there's 3 Spideys in that for hella long, and then everybody knew one day. You guys had.
I'll just say we don't know everything, and a lot of times, if we hear whispers of things, that is a far cry from the types of assets you need to actually make as screen accurate stuff as you can. So, yeah, we did the best we could.
You just gave me an idea. You guys got to start following the leaks. You know what I mean? You guys need to hire inside or get an inside guy into Disney to get you the accurate suits so that the figures come out like how we see them in the movies when they come out early. You know,
we're all on the up and up, Russ. No, no
shenanigans,
no shadiness.
All right. We just got a couple minutes left over here. One thing, while I was looking at your shirt, you're talking about us going through a weird time. I thought that it was really cool how you guys had set up. Not everybody dug it the same, but I liked the post-con live shows that you guys had, especially like with the Fall Out Boy and Weezer performances that you guys had. But the Fall Out Boy was something really special. I really liked that one a lot. That one was really cool because I'd really missed live shows, and like on a personal level, because like my heart's really in deep in music, and it made me feel like I was at a live show more so than I think anything I had seen, because I was watching, like, the Goldfinger was posting like music videos, but those are all produced. Like, I know they're not playing together at the same time. Those guys are all, one guy did his on a Monday, another guy shot his thing on a Friday. Like, as a musician, I know those guys aren't playing together. It's all separate days. So getting that was really cool to have. And then that was my first big show, was the Interrupters, the Interrupters, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Green Day. So it was like, wow, this was just so cool watching them play live. And it was like the first live band, the second live band technically, because we saw Weezer first. But it's kind of funny that those two bands were the first two live bands I'd seen during COVID, and I'd seen them on the Hasbro stream. So for me, I thought that was really awesome. So I really like that Hasbro, and I don't know how, like, if that was a marketing lunch that you guys all had where you worked on that, but I thought that was really, really cool, and I'm especially grateful for it. So
that's a credit to the Pulse team and PR to were able to get those artists. And it was funny, like, if you've seen the new Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the new preschool kind of Marvel Kid property that launched, when we heard that Patrick Stump was writing and performing the theme song.
No wonder I said it. Oh, yeah. Wow.
But when they said that, we were in a room and I was like, that's amazing. And I looked around and then no one else cared. But of course, me, being a Fall Out Boy fan from back in the early 2000s there in college. I know they've blown up really big since then, but I remember seeing them in probably less than 100-person crowd in college, and so I love that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like after their first album, I want to say that was a good times.
Wow, that's crazy. I had that's pretty nuts. The closest thing I had to that was one of the guys from Taking Back Sunday. We toured with the band that I think it was Matt from Taking Back Sunday was in another band called Facing New York, and we toured up to Texas with them, and then from Texas on we'd split up. But I got to jam with that guy a few times and stuff, and it was a trip seeing him in music videos, and it's kind of funny. So you must have had a little bit of that. Look at these guys. Like, you kind of get that weird, like, look at himself taking himself all seriously and shit in a real music video over here. It's kind of like, not that you want to put anybody down, it's just kind of funny. Like, you must have had some kind of feeling like that a little bit, seeing, like, the growth of the band, right?
Like, and it was there was a video. I think it was probably like for an internal thing, but it was Patrick Stump talking about, oh, my kids love Spider-Man, and it's like, dang, we're old. We're old.
Yeah, I think he was starting to get won over a little bit by the figures, though, right? Like in that video, it looked like he was starting to like kind of show a little bit of interest.
Yeah, no, I said to someone after, I was like, we got to send Patrick Stump and Pete Wentz some figures because they talked about like they love figures. We got to send them some legends.
Yeah, sweet. So hopefully they started getting into it. That'd be pretty cool. While you're wearing that Blink-182 shirt, awesome to hear that Mark Hoppus is doing well, and he's making a good recovery and everything.
Yeah, that was crazy. I read the excerpts from that Vanity Fair piece that just came out, but crazy journey, and glad he is doing well, and he's one of my kind of heroes in music and stuff too. And he does these Twitch kind of streams now where he plays bass along with his whole catalog, and it's really fun. He just looks so happy. Like he plays over, like he doesn't sing over his parts. So when he's listening to himself singing on the track, it's really funny.
Yeah. No, I gotta check out more of those. I think I've seen like a couple of them, but yeah, I love seeing that stuff. And yeah, that's one cool thing that's come out of COVID. Somehow a lot of bass players, Matt Freeman from Rancid was doing it really consistently. Like every day you'd have a new post of him playing bass to a song. And then Fat Mike from NoFX had done a couple of those, who starts with an upstroke every time, which I didn't know until watching some of that. I was like, oh, did you ever play an instrument? I'm curious. I don't think you ever said you did, but I don't know. I'm just curious if you ever
not seriously. No, I tried to play guitar and read some tabs, but I wasn't very good at it. But a little bit. Nothing serious though. No.
Just playing around with it some. Yeah, it's that early stage. You need to get that immediate encouragement, or else it's like it's better for somebody else.
I probably in retrospect, I should have started with the bass because there are fewer bass players, and it's probably a little easier just technically for the kind of stuff that I listened to. So it was kind of a mistake to want to be the cool guitarist dude. But yeah, it was my dream for many years to be in a punk band, but that never came to be. So maybe I'll push my son into it.
Oh, right. Whoa, right on. Yeah. Yeah. If that would be it's gonna be a fun journey. It asks for a lot of adventures, which is really cool. But yeah, being in a punk band is a lot of fun. I love it. It's one of those things that I hang on tight to, even though I have kids and stuff. We haven't played a lot of shows recently with COVID, obviously, but yeah, it's a thing I can't ever stop doing. And it's one of the things that I lost during COVID that really drove me nuts. It was really hard not getting that energy out, because I'm a very energetic dude. So just having that atmosphere and everything taken away was brutal. So going back again to those live streams and everything, it felt pretty good. But yeah, Ryan, let's start a band. Ryan Shart, let's start a band. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's he could play bass.
we can make music like Goldfinger and send it back, and those are sweet videos. And they release the videos, and then they release the tracks on Spotify, so it's like here in your bedroom from like the COVID recording sessions. Like that was awesome. I love that.
Oh, I didn't know they put them out on Spotify like that.
Yeah, a whole bunch of songs. So go check those out. They did like Superman.
Yeah. I saw the videos, but I didn't know they actually had them on spot. I remember just getting hella stoked seeing them post and yeah, but I didn't know that. Yeah, they had them all up on there separately. That's pretty sweet. I'm glad they did that. Are there any? Can I ask you, like, what other bands? Before, I know our time's about up, so last question, like, what other do you guys listen to the Smiths? A little bit. Morrissey's voice, like, I could in doses I like Alkaline Trio a lot. I love Alkaline Trio, but I know the Smiths had a huge impact on Alkaline Trio. That would be a cool band to get, even though Matt from Alkaline Trio, I saw the Alkaline Trio play, and it was a little bit weird. I feel like he was having an identity crisis, because I felt like he was trying to act like Tom DeLonge a little bit, and like it was just it was just a little bit awkward. I was like, dude, this is not a Blink-182 show, dude. Like he was trying to like, make the jokes,
Yeah.
which is fun, which is great for Blink-182. But like if you're not Blink-182, it's what are you doing? So there's
I'm glad that they worked it out, and I like Alkaline Trio too, and so Matt's stepping in so they can play. But yeah, hopefully we get the original 3 back at some point for some project. That would be amazing.
Have you heard word of that? I've heard rumors about Tom DeLonge being.
Well, for a while, the gossip like they were on the outs, but now they're kind of friends again, and so yeah, the fans are hopeful.
And I heard a rumor that Tom DeLonge and Matt Skiba are going to start a band. And I was like, get the hell out of here, man. Come on.
That'll be great. Yeah, just throw everyone off. No one will expect that.
Just like twist everything around. Like, oh, man. Hey, Sonny, thanks for coming by, man. We got to wrap up anyway. So I do have an after party on the Patreon and membership. So if you are a patron or a member, stay tuned for the links, and I will have that link to the after party. And so I'll see you guys there. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. It was fun discussing figures, discussing music, getting into the geeky stuff. Hope to have you on in the future. That'd be awesome. And yeah, I'll probably see you hopefully in the future on another Hasbro interview or something, whatever's going on. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. This stuff is always kind of fun to do. We're all into toys, obviously, but into other things as well. So that's just been something that, during this pandemic, we've been meeting new people just through social media and making new friends. And so that's always cool.
Awesome. All right, man. Great stuff. Thanks again for making it out. Appreciate your time and everything, man. And good talking to you. And we will catch you guys later.
See ya.